Hi, welcome to Biology classes with Lakshmi Chandra. Our topic for today is genetic code. So this code or this genetic code, it's very essential for you to understand to learn the next concept, that is translation. So far we have completed transcription, wherein the information from DNA is transferred to RNA. So this DNA and RNA, the transferring of information is very simple because they are based on the rules of complementarity. And why this is so? Because both of them are nucleic acid molecules. But as you know, the molecular dogma, the central dogma of molecular biology, once the RNA is formed, now the information has to be passed on for the production of a protein. That is, a series of amino acids have to be formed. And there is no complementarity between a nucleic acid and an amino acid. So there should be something which is linking this nucleic acid and the amino acid. So that is our genetic code, and that is the topic for today. So deciphering the genetic code, or the proposal of the genetic code, was not a one-man show. There were different scientists belonging to different fields who had put their heads together for deciphering the genetic code. Before just introducing, or before just getting directly into what genetic code is, let me first put light on those various scientists who were involved in deciphering the genetic code. And that is very important for your board exam too. And not only in your board exam, class 12 board exam, but also in the NEET entrance examinations. So pay attention on those scientists whose heads were put together to decipher the genetic code. First and foremost important scientist, George Gamow. He was a physicist. Okay. What he did is he made an important proposal. He proposed that the genetic code is a combination of 3 nucleotides. Genetic code is a combination of 3 nucleotides. Now let me make that clear. The proposition of George Gamow, let me make that clear. You know, genetic code, as I told you in the beginning, it is used for the transfer of information from a nucleic acid to an amino acid. And I told you there is no complementarity between these two because one is a nucleic acid, another one is an amino acid. So here our nucleic acid is mRNA. And we all know that any nucleic acid is having only 4 bases. We also know that there are a total of 20 naturally occurring amino acids. So based on these numbers 4 and 20, George Gamow proposed a combination stating that if there are 2 bases, if there are a combination of 2 bases, then you will get only 16 amino acids a total, 4 into 4. If 2 bases are combining together to produce one amino acid, then in that case we will end up with 16 amino acids. And if there are 3 codons, or if there are 3 bases combining to form an amino acid, then we will get 4 into 4 into 4. So 16 into 4, that is coming to 64. Okay, but this 64 number is far more than 20, and this number 16 is far less than 20. But he went for this combination, that is a combination of 3 bases should code for 1 amino acid. And he told that the codon is a triplet. So this is a proposition which was given by George Gamow. But this was not proved by him. But later on, scientists like Hargobind Khorana, Marshall Nirenberg Severo Okawo. All these scientists, they belong to different branches of biology. They were biochemists, some of them were geneticists. Severo Okawo was a molecular biologist. So all of them belonging to different fields of biology, they came together, and when they did experiments, they could prove that the proposition given by George Gamow based on this permutation combinations, it was true that there are 3 bases that is coding for 1 amino acid. And later, as we go on learning regarding this genetic code, we will understand the number variation and how this is happening. Okay. So let us first focus on the scientist, because that part is very important for your board examination. So George Gamow gave just a proposition. He didn't give any scientific proof behind that. So his proposal was based on permutation combination, based on the available number of bases and the available number of amino acids. He told that a combination of 3 bases could produce 1 amino acid. Okay, moving on to the next scientist, Hargobind Khorana, Indian born scientist he was a biochemist. He could synthesize RNA molecules in vitro. In vitro, I hope you know regarding these words, in vitro and in vivo. In vitro means under lab conditions, under controlled condition, or it is outside the cell. If something is done outside the cell, you call that as in vitro. Suppose in a test tube or things like that, you call it as in vitro. If it is done inside a cell itself, the process you call it as in vivo. Okay, so here Hargobind Khorana, a biochemist, he could synthesize RNA molecules in vitro with known bases, known combination of bases. Whichever bases he wants to select, he could select it, and he could prepare a RNA molecule in vitro. That was a brilliant discovery by Hargobind Khorana. And he got Nobel Prize also for that in the year 1968. Marshall Nirenberg, he was also a biochemist and a geneticist too. He could synthesize proteins in vitro. A small polypeptides he could synthesize in vitro. So Hargobind Khorana could synthesize RNA molecules in vitro. Marshall Nirenberg could synthesize proteins in vitro. Okay. Then an important discovery by Severo Okawo. He discovered an enzyme and he named the enzyme after his name as Severo Okawo enzyme. Okay. It is actually a polynucleotide phosphorylase enzyme, and this enzyme leads to the synthesis of RNA in a template independent manner. That is, there is no need of a DNA molecule to be present. There is no need of a template. So without a template, RNA could be synthesized. So such a method or such an enzyme was found out by Severo Okawo. It was named after him as Severo Okawo enzyme. Actually, it is a polynucleotide phosphorylase enzyme, and this is a very fascinating enzyme. And for this discovery, Okawo got again Nobel Prize in the year 1959. Okay. So I told this enzyme is a fascinating one, because when this enzyme is doing the function in vitro outside the cell, it is actually degrading the RNA which is formed. But the same enzyme, when it is put inside the cell, it will allow the RNA to be synthesized. So that is a fascinating one. But for our exam point of view, we have to understand the contribution of each of these scientists towards deciphering the genetic code. George Gamow proposed that 3 nucleotide combinations could produce 1 codon. Hargobind Khorana and Marshall Nirenberg could produce RNA and proteins in vitro. And Severo Okawo could synthesize, or he could produce an enzyme which enabled the synthesis of RNA in a template independent manner without the help of a template. So these were the great scientists who had put forward many discoveries which led to the deciphering of genetic code. Now let's see what is that genetic code. Okay. So as Gamow told that there is a combination of 3 bases. 3 bases, okay, 3 bases. There are 4 nucleotides, so 3 together will produce 1 amino acid. 1 amino acid. Let us just look into that. Let me just draw the checkerboard for you for genetic code. Okay, I'll tell you how to draw it very easily. Just draw a vertical line and a horizontal line like this. Okay, and above you can just write U C A G. What is this UCAG I have written? They are the nucleotides, or they are the bases, the 4 bases. UCAG, uracil, cytosine, adenine and guanine. They are the 4 bases, U, C, A and G. Okay, U, C, A and G. So I'm writing here U, uracil. I'm not writing here T. There is no thymine in the checkerboard. There is no thymine in the genetic code because we are now with mRNA. After transcription we got mRNA. Now with that mRNA, now we are moving towards proteins. So our checkerboard consists of the bases in the RNA, not in the DNA. So bear in mind that there is no thymine in the checkerboard. There is only uracil. So codon is with respect to mRNA. It is not with respect to DNA. Okay, codon is always with respect to mRNA. So UCAG I have written on the top. Here also I will write the same thing. U, C, A and G I am writing. Okay. Now I am just dividing this with the help of lines. I have divided. And same way this side also I am dividing with the help of lines. So I have just written the 4 bases and I have divided them like this. Fine. On the top and on the left hand side I have written. Now on the right hand side what I am writing here is, I am writing U, C, A, G. Within one square I am writing it. Okay. The next square again I am writing U, C, A, G. Same order. Again U, C, A, G. Same order. Last one also U, C, A, G. Same order I have written. So UCAG, remember this. Okay. So I got squares like this. Now what I am going to do, just fill it up. How to fill up? Left, top, right. LTR. Remember, I'll take one base from the left, I'll take from one base from the top and I'll take the corresponding base from the right. Okay, left, top, right. So on the left I have U, on the top I have U, on the right also I have U, uracil. Here again on the left I am having U, the square on the top again I am having U, on the right I am having C. Fine. Again U, U, A. Again U, U, G. So here see U, C, A, G. Here first two will be U, U. Now let us take the next one. On the left, top, right. Okay. Left I am having C. Top I am having U. So always I can write here 4 times CU because left and top is same. What is changing is only in the right. Right, first one is U, second one is C, third one is A and fourth one is G. UCAG. It's very simple. What about this one? This square. Left side I am having A. Top also I am having A. On the right I am having U. So again left, top is same. I can write that 4 times here. What is differing is right. How it is differing? U, C, A, G. Fine. So likewise I can fill up the whole checkerboard. Very simple it is. So here let me fill it up. A, U. A, U, U it is. Then A, U, C. AUG, sorry, AUA, AUG. Let me make it more clear. A, U and G. Here I can write here G, U 4 times. Isn't it? G on the left, U on the top. I have written it 4 times. On the right I am having U, C, A, G. So likewise, I can fill up the whole checkerboard. Now these 3 triplets that I have written, they are all codons. Now each of these codon is having a corresponding amino acid for that. Okay, corresponding amino acid is there for it. Let me write that. From here let me start. This is valine. This whole 4 stands for valine. Valine is an amino acid. AUG stands for the amino acid methionine. Okay, these 3 stands for isoleucine. Okay, then followed by leucine. Leucine, LEU is for the amino acid leucine. Again here also leucine. This also stands for leucine. These 2 stands for another amino acid called as phenylalanine. Now this is very interesting aspect. Okay, just look here. Take the amino acid phenylalanine. Phenylalanine. It is represented as PHE, phenylalanine. This can be coded by 2 codons. Which are they? It can be coded by UUU. It can also be coded by UUC. So there are two codons which can code for one amino acid. There are 2 codons which can code for one amino acid. But you look at the codon UUU. This codon is coding only for one amino acid. Now what is that? 2 codon for one amino acid, 1 codon only for one amino acid. Now I am coming to the properties of genetic code. Okay, I am coming to the properties of genetic code. Let us take that one by one. Let's focus on the properties of genetic code based on this example. First property, the most important one and often asked for board examination. We say genetic code is degenerate or degeneracy of genetic code. Let's see what is that, degeneracy of genetic code. Let me just quote this example again. Here you can see phenylalanine is coded by more than one codon. So there are amino acids which are coded by more than one codon. Amino acids coded by more than one codon. You look at the amino acid leucine, it is having how many codons? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 codons are there coding for just one amino acid. Then again, another isoleucine if you take, there are 1, 2, 3 codons are coding for the same amino acid isoleucine. Okay, but methionine is coded just by one amino acid. Methionine, MET stands for methionine. That is coded just by one one codon. Methionine amino acid is coded just by one codon. But there are amino acids which are coded by more than one codon. There are amino acids which are coded by more than one codon. That property is called as degeneracy. So degeneracy means there are some amino acids. There are some amino acids that has or that have more than one codon. There are some amino acids which have more than one codon. Now dear students, we have to bear in mind there are lots of questions which can be asked from this property. degeneracy of amino acid. Okay, let me just take you towards that question. As we discuss the properties, we will also discuss the questions which can come from this part. So one question which can come from this part is, which property of genetic code leads to silent mutation? This is a question. These are the different properties we'll be learning one by one. This property, degeneracy, is the answer for this one. That is, which property of the genetic code leads to silent mutation? So this mutation and different types of mutations were part of our previous chapter, Principles of Inheritance and Variation, wherein we discussed different types of mutation. Now there we had learned about point mutation, specifically taking the example of sickle cell anemia, frame shift mutation, so many mutations we have learned. Now what is a silent mutation? Basically, what is mutation? When there is a change in the base pair, that's a sudden change happening in the base pair, you say that the DNA has undergone mutation. There are many reasons for that. Okay, so when there is a change in the base pair, you say mutation has occurred. For example, you take the example UUU. Okay, we all know this is coding for phenylalanine. I have also told you UUC is also coding for phenylalanine. Now this is a fact, we all know this. Now imagine UUU is there in a DNA molecule, okay, and this underwent mutation, and because of this mutation, instead of UUU, it is now UUA. It is UUA. That means there is a mutation in this part. This U is replaced by A. Okay, so what will happen if U is replaced by A? If UUU, actually this should code for phenylalanine. But since it has undergone a mutation, it will now code for the amino acid leucine. Okay, instead of phenylalanine, just coding for another amino acid leucine. So the protein formed will be different. So there will be a total change in the structure, function, everything. So the mutation will be very much evident. Like we have seen in sickle cell anemia, instead of glutamic acid, another amino acid is coming, valine is coming. So the biconcave shape of the sickle of the RBC changed into sickle shaped. And because of the change in the shape, the surface area decreased, the oxygen carrying capacity decreased, the person became anemic. So these were all very well explained in that video showing we're having sickle cell anemia, which was taken previously. If you want, you can just refer those videos, okay, regarding the disorders, Mendelian disorders, then chromosomal disorders and all, wherein I have explained in detail regarding point mutation and those things. But to make you understand, I am comparing those two. So in sickle cell anemia, glutamic acid is replaced by valine, and so the effect was very much evident. Similarly here, phenylalanine is replaced by leucine. So the effect, the amino acid which is formed, the effect will also be very much evident. Now understand another situation. So this is situation number 1. Okay. Now understand another situation in which this UUU here, okay, this is the actual one. Instead of U, here comes UUC. Okay, in this DNA, UUU is replaced by UUC. This is the second condition. In this condition, what will happen is, the amino acid coded originally is phenylalanine. After mutation also the amino acid coded is phenylalanine, because we know UUU and UUC codes for the same amino acid. Okay, so has the mutation taken place? Yes, because the base pair has changed. Instead of uracil, it is cytosine here. But is there any effect because of this mutation? No, because the amino acid formed is the same. Mutation is there, but there is no effect. Such mutations are called as silent mutations. Mutation is there, but there is no effect. Silent mutation. And why? What is the reason behind silent mutation? Yes, the answer is degeneracy of genetic code. That means some amino acids, they can have more than one codon. Okay, some amino acids, they have more than one codon. So even if there is changes happening due to mutation, and if all those codons are coding for that same amino acid, there is no net effect. So you call the mutation as silent mutation. So this kind of questions can be asked for the board. They can link the questions and ask. So directly asking list the properties of genetic code and all is very rare, children. So whenever you learn the properties of genetic code, don't just by heart it. Try to understand it and try to apply it for the exam so that you can score better marks. Okay. So degeneracy of genetic code, that means there are some amino acids, not all amino acids. As I told you, there is an exemption. As I told you before, methionine is an exemption. It is coded only by one particular codon, AUG. Okay. Similarly, there is another codon, UGG, another one, UGG. UGG codes for tryptophan, TRP, the amino acid tryptophan. UGG codes for the amino acid tryptophan, and AUG codes for the amino acid methionine. These two codons or these two amino acids don't have any other codons. They just have one codon for them. One amino acid, one codon. Okay. So this keep it in mind. Tryptophan and methionine do not come under degeneracy. They do not follow this. That is why I have written here some amino acids. Some amino acids have more than one codon. Exemption to degeneracy is tryptophan and methionine. So this you have to keep it in mind, the property, the exemption and the kind of mutation that it can cause because of this. Let's focus on the next property. Genetic code is said to be unambiguous. What is the meaning of ambiguity? Ambiguity means confusion. Unambiguous means there is no confusion. Genetic code is having no confusion. So what is that? Let us see. No confusion for genetic code. It is like one codon codes for only one amino acid. One codon codes for only one amino acid. You have the codon U. It is coding only for one amino acid, that is phenylalanine. This codon is not coding for any other amino acid. One codon codes for only one amino acid. That is the next property, unambiguous. Genetic code is unambiguous. One codon will code only for one amino acid. But if I say the reverse, one amino acid can be coded by more than one codon. One amino acid can be coded by more than one codon. So one amino acid I have taken phenylalanine, it can be coded by UUU. It can also be coded by UUC. So this property is what we learned as degeneracy. Degeneracy of genetic code. And this property, one codon, one amino acid, this is unambiguous. So keep it in mind. One codon, one amino acid, unambiguous. Codon is having no confusion. One codon will code only for one amino acid. Degeneracy means you begin the statement with amino acid. One amino acid can have more than one codons. Not all, some. And which are the exemption? Tryptophan and methionine are the exceptions for that. Okay, so I hope these two properties, degeneracy and unambiguous, is almost clear to all of you. Now come on, let us see the next one, nearly universal. Genetic code is, we cannot say it is universal, it is nearly universal. That means, if again we'll take the same example, if UUU is coding for phenylalanine in the body of an elephant, the same UUU will code for phenylalanine in the body of an ant also, or in a plant also. That is the meaning of nearly universal. It means the codon in any organism codes for the same amino acid. Exemptions are there with respect to some prokaryotes, some mitochondrial gene in our body, some chloroplast and all, there are exemptions. Okay, but that's why it is, we have written here, because there are exemptions, we have written here nearly universal. The codon and the amino acid that it codes for is same for in any living organisms except a few prokaryotes. Okay, that is why it is nearly universal. It is the same in all organisms. Now, as we have learned before, genetic code always occurs in a triplet. That means 3 bases codes for 1 amino acid. 3 bases together, so 3 bases, that is why it is triplet. 3 bases together codes for 1 amino acid. Totally there are 4 bases, but at a time 3 bases together will code for 1 amino acid. It is like this. You say, take the case of mRNA. This mRNA, I am just drawing this mRNA here. This is having, say, bases UUU, UUC. Okay, like this, the bases are there. Okay, so here these first three bases here is coding for the amino acid phenylalanine. Next 3 is coding again for phenylalanine. Next is coding for leucine. Next 3 is again coding for leucine. Likewise, it can be anything here. Any combination can come here. Or here next one can be AUG. This is coding for methionine. Okay, likewise. So always 3 bases together codes for 1 amino acid. That is the property, triplet. Genetic code always occurs as a triplet. 3 bases codes for 1 amino acid. And always it is read in a contiguous fashion. Contiguous fashion means it is read in a continuous fashion. There is no punctuation. It is commaless. No punctuations are there. There are no punctuations, no commas, nothing. It is always read in a contiguous fashion. Read in a contiguous fashion means it is read like this. UUU, UUC, UUA, UUG, AUG, like that it is read in a contiguous fashion. Now here also there can be chances of, question can be asked, chances of mutation. Imagine this is a proper one, okay? And if this has undergone a mutation, imagine this has undergone a mutation and this is the mutation that has happened. A here is now no more there. Okay, A here is not existing. So after mutation, what happened is the codon is like this, UUU, UUC, UU, there is no A here. Instead, the next one I am writing UUG, AUG, likewise it keeps on going. It is there, continuing. Now when you are reading this genetic code, you will read like this, UUU, okay, fine. It is coding for phenylalanine. Next one UUC, 3 together, again next phenylalanine. Again next when you read, you will read like UUU. There is no UUA here. But the next one you will read, this one is coming here. Okay, 3 together always you have to read UUU. Again it is coding for phenylalanine. Next when you read, see UGA. It is a different amino acid it will code for. Then you read it for UG, whichever is coming here, that you will be reading. So always when you are reading it in a contiguous fashion. So here what happened is one base is gone. So one base is gone means there is deletion. So when it is deleted, the next one you will read as a triplet and keep on reading. And accordingly the new amino acids will be formed. Accordingly the protein formed will be different. That means there is a total mutation happening. Same thing can happen. Instead of this A getting deleted here, imagine A is present there, and along with that A, another base also got added here. G got added here. So this is an insertion. Earlier A got deleted, again G is coming in between. Insertion. So when you read here, till here it will be triplet. Okay. Here when you read, you will start reading from G. GUU you will read. That will code for another amino acid. The next one will be GAU, another amino acid. So things are going to be different. So whether there is some addition or deletion or whatever it is, always triplet when it is read in a contiguous fashion. And accordingly the amino acids formed will be different. Okay. And see the last one, AUG, it is having two properties. AUG. This is very important, children, and how to remember. Just remember August, the month of August. Okay, AUG, month of August. Just remember that AUG is having dual function. That means it is having two functions. Very simple. One, we all know that AUG is coding for the amino acid methionine, and this acts as the start codon. This acts as the start codon. Now, if there is a start codon, there should be stop codons as well. Let's see what is that. Stop codons. Remember, the stop codons are UAA, UAG, and then just reverse this, A and G. U, instead of A you write G, instead of G you write A, UGA. Just reverse this. So UAA, UAG and UGA. These are the stop codons. Stop codons means they don't code for any amino acid. Okay, they don't code for any amino acid. So start codon is AUG, August, I told you. It also codes for the amino acid methionine. So this is the starting amino acid. Okay, stop codons are UAA, UAG and UGA. Okay, they don't code for any amino acid. So they are the stop codons. You will understand the function of this when you learn translation properly. So children, I told you there are 4 raised to 3, that is 64 amino acids according to George Gamow. But among these 64, 3 are stop codons. That means 64 minus 3, I can have only 61. So there are only 61 codons which is coding for the 20 amino acids. There are only 61 codons which are coding for 20 amino acids. It is not actually 64, though it is 4 raised to 3. Why not? Because 3 are stop codons. Rest 61, they are coding for amino acid. But there are no 61 amino acids are not there. There are just 20 amino acids and there are 61 codons. So naturally, there will be more than one codon for an amino acid as the property suggests here. Okay, so we have learnt that genetic code, the scientist who had deciphered the genetic code, and the properties, degeneracy, unambiguous, nearly universal, it is always in a triplet form, It is read in a contiguous fashion. There is no comma, punctuation, nothing. And AUG has got a dwell function. Among these children, if question is asked from within this property, we have to understand what is degeneracy and unambiguously. Unambiguous, no confusion for the codon. That means you have to start with the codon. One codon is codes only for one amino acid. Degeneracy, you start with amino acids. There are amino acids which have more than one codon, and that is the essence behind silent mutation. Please remember those things, okay? And if you have understood this, or if you have any doubts in this chapter, in this portion of genetic code, please feel free to clear your doubts through the comment box. I'll be very happy to see your comments, and do subscribe the channel if you are seeing it for the first time. Thank you all.